right, welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're diving into something that I think a lot of people struggle with, and it's probably causing you some anxiety, right? Credit card debt.
Could be one.
Yeah, it's a huge problem, but don't worry, we've got a ton of strategies to help you,
Conquer it.
yeah, conquer it, achieve financial freedom, right?
Totally.
Have you ever felt like you're running on a treadmill, like you're putting in all this effort, all this work, but you're not really getting anywhere?
Well, yeah.
That's what those high credit card interest rates, 15, 20, sometimes even 25% or more, can feel like.
It's rough.
It's like you're constantly trying to catch up. But fear not, we are about to hop off that treadmill together and chart a course to financial freedom.
Let's do it.
So we've got a bunch of research, expert insights, all lined up to help guide us. And our mission, what's our mission here today?
Well, to really equip everyone listening with the knowledge, the strategies, to not just manage their debt, but really understand, how it works. How do we break free from it for good?
Absolutely. Break free. That's the goal. It's not just about treading water. It's about getting out of the water altogether.
Exactly.
So let's start with something that I think trips a lot of people up. Those minimum payments, right?
Oh, yeah. They seem so manageable at first, like, oh, I can totally handle that.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, what's really fascinating is how that seemingly small amount can actually end up costing you a ton more over time.
How does that work?
Well, it's kind of like, imagine a hidden fee. Right, that just keeps growing in the background. So you're paying and paying, but a big chunk of that is just going to interest, not actually chipping away at what you owe.
So it's like you think you're getting a deal on something, maybe like a new pair of shoes or something, and you're like, oh yeah, I can totally afford that.
Right.
But then because of the interest, you end up paying double.
Yeah, you end up paying way more than you originally thought.
And that's what we want to avoid. So first things first, we got to stop the bleeding. What's the first step?
Well, it might sound kind of drastic, but we're putting those credit cards on ice.
Freeze them.
Freeze them up. Yeah, seriously. Switching to cash or debit cards might feel like a step back, like, oh, I'm going back to the Stone Age here. But it's actually a huge leap forward.
How so?
Because you're regaining control. You're not letting that buy now, pay later mentality control your spending. It shifts your mindset to, okay, I need to save up for this. I'm going to buy it when I can actually afford it.
So it's like a mental shift as much as it is a practical shift.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, so we've frozen the cards. We're starting to think a little differently. Now it's time to get strategic.
Right. It's time to map out our plan of attack. So grab a pen and paper, open up that spreadsheet. We're going on a debt-slaying quest.
Love it. A quest.
Yeah.
So what's the first step in our quest?
Like when you face an opponent in a game, right? You need to know their strengths and weaknesses. Same thing here. We need to list out every single credit card that we have, the balance, the interest rate, all those little details.
So lay it all out, get it all out there in the open so we can see what we're dealing with. Now, when it comes to tackling this debt, there are two main strategies we hear about, right? The debt snowball and the debt avalanche. Let's break those down. What is the debt snowball?
So think of it like clearing out those smaller enemies first in a game. You get those quick wins, a little boost of motivation. So with the debt snowball, you target the smallest debts, no matter the interest rate. You pay those off, and then roll that same payment amount to the next smallest debt.
Like a snowball rolling downhill, getting bigger and bigger as it goes.
Exactly. It's all about momentum.
And there's actually some psychology behind that, right?
Yeah. Our brains love those little victories. Like, research shows that we're wired to respond well to that sense of accomplishment, even if it's not always, the most mathematically efficient approach.
So it's almost like a mental game as much as it is a financial game.
Absolutely. It's like leveling up in a game. It keeps you going.
And then we have the debt avalanche, right? Which is a little different.
Right. The debt avalanche is all about maximizing those savings in the long run. So here you focus on the debt with the highest interest rate, no matter how big or small it is. You'll save more on interest overall, even if it takes a little bit longer to see those initial wins.
So it's like investing, right? You're looking for the highest return on your investment, even if it takes a little more time.
Yeah, exactly. You're playing the long game.
So which approach is better?
There's no one right answer. The key is to figure out what works for you. Are you driven by those quick wins and feeling accomplished? Or are you all about long-term strategy and, maximizing those savings? It's a personal choice.
Absolutely. Find what works for you, your personality, your goals. All right, let's level up our skills a bit. We've talked about the basics. Now let's get into some more advanced tactics, starting with the power of negotiation.
Ooh, this is a good one.
I think a lot of people don't realize that you can actually negotiate with your credit card company. Did you know that?
A lot of people don't. It's like a hidden superpower.
Right. You can negotiate for a lower interest rate. It's
Yeah.
like getting a discount on your debt. Why does this work?
While credit card companies, they're businesses. They
Mhm.
want to keep you as a customer, especially if you're showing that you're committed to paying down your debt.
So it's in their best interest to work with you.
Exactly. And what's interesting is that it's not just about asking for a lower rate.
Yeah.
It's about showing them, hey, I'm serious about this. I'm responsible. I'm dedicated to becoming debt-free. That can be incredibly persuasive.
So it's like a combination of, asking for what you want, but also demonstrating that you're a good customer, that you're reliable.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, another tactic that can be really helpful is balance transfers.
Oh, yeah. Balance transfers can be game changers.
Okay, explain what a balance transfer is.
So imagine you take all that high interest debt and you move it over to a card that has a 0% APR for a certain amount of time. It's like teleporting to a safe zone, right? Where that interest can't touch you.
So you're buying yourself some time, some breathing room to really chip away at that debt without the interest accruing.
Exactly. But, and this is a big but, you have to be very aware of those terms and conditions. Sometimes those balance transfers have fees, and that 0% APR, it doesn't last forever. You've got to have a plan to pay off that balance before those interest rates jump back up.
Because you don't want to be caught off guard and end up right back where you started. So it's a powerful tool, but you got to use it wisely.
Right.
All right, now let's talk about a strategy that can be a little confusing for some people, debt consolidation loans. On the surface, it sounds pretty good. You combine all your debts into one neat package, often with a lower interest rate, right?
Right. It sounds super appealing. Simplify everything, maybe save little on interest. But it's kind of tricky.
How so?
Well, consolidation loans, they only really work if you address the root cause of your debt. If you don't change those spending habits, if you keep accumulating new debt, it's like cleaning your house, but then just bringing in more clutter.
You're right back where you started.
Yeah, exactly. It's like hitting the reset button,
Yeah.
but not changing the game you're playing.
You got to change the game. So it's a tool that can be helpful, but it's not a magic solution.
Right. It requires some effort and some self-awareness.
All right, so we've talked about some major strategies, but now let's talk about building a really solid foundation for your financial future. And that starts with an emergency fund.
Oh, yeah. So important.
A lot of people hear emergency fund and they think, oh, I got to have thousands of dollars saved up. But it doesn't have to be that way, right?
No, it really doesn't. Even a small emergency fund can be a game changer.
What does it do? Why is it so important?
Well, think of it as your safety net, right? Life happens, unexpected things pop up, car repairs, medical bills, maybe you lose your job, things you don't plan for. And having that emergency fund prevents you from having to rely on those credit cards when things get tough.
So it's like having that extra life in a video game, knowing you've got a backup plan.
Exactly. It gives you peace of mind, a sense of control. And you don't have to start with a ton of money. Start small, even $50, $100, and just gradually build it up.
And there are tools to help you do that, right?
Totally. There are so many great personal finance apps out there. Apps like Mint or YNAB. Those can help you track your spending, find those sneaky little leaks where your money's going, and help you find some extra cash to stash away.
It's like having a financial coach in your pocket.
Exactly.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive, right? We talked about stopping the reliance on credit cards, how to map out our debt slaying strategy, and even how to negotiate with credit card companies.
Yeah, and we delved into the psychology behind it all. Like, why do certain methods work better for some people than others?
And the importance of that solid financial foundation with the emergency fund, that safety net.
Exactly.
But our quest is not over yet. There's more to come. In the next part of our deep dive, we're going to be talking about life after debt and how to use credit cards wisely to your advantage. Stay tuned.
Can't wait.
All right, welcome back to the deep dive. So we've been talking about how to tackle credit card debt, all those strategies, but now let's shift gears a bit. What happens after you've conquered that debt? Like you've slain the dragon, you've reached the next level. What's next?
Yeah, it's like a whole new world opens up. And what's really interesting is that your relationship with credit cards can actually change. They can actually become really powerful tools for building your financial future.
So they go from being the enemy to being an ally.
Exactly. But the key is, using them strategically, not falling back into old habits.
Right. So how do we do that? How do we wield this powerful tool?
Well, I think the biggest thing is changing your perspective. Think of credit cards as a way to build your credit score, earn rewards, not as a way to spend money you don't have.
Okay, so it's about responsible usage.
Exactly. Responsible usage, not reckless abandon.
Got it. So one of the things we hear a lot about is rewards programs, right?
Oh, yeah. Rewards programs can be awesome.
Yeah. Like getting cash back, travel points, even discounts just for using your card.
Exactly. It's like, getting bonus points for managing your finances well.
But there's a catch, right?
There is a catch. The big caveat is that rewards cards are only really beneficial if you pay off your balance in full every month. If you're carrying a balance, if that interest is building up, those charges are going to wipe out any rewards you're earning.
So it's like finding a treasure chest, but then having to pay a huge tax on it. You end up with less than you started.
Exactly. So the golden rule with rewards cards is treat them like debit cards. Only spend what you can afford to pay back immediately.
All right, so spend responsibly, pay it off right away. Now let's talk about something else that's really important, your credit score.
Oh, yeah. Got to keep an eye on that credit score.
It's like your financial report card.
Yeah, exactly. Like checking your character stats in a game. It's basically a numerical representation of your creditworthiness. And it impacts a lot.
So why is it so important? What does it affect?
Well, a good credit score opens doors, right? Better interest rates on loans, mortgages, even things like insurance premiums.
Oh, wow, I didn't realize it affected insurance.
Oh, yeah, it can impact a lot of things. It's like having a high charisma stat in a game. You're more likely to get favorable deals, better opportunities.
So it's like having a VIP pass to the world of finance.
Exactly.
So how do we check our credit score? How do we make sure it's in good shape?
Well, you can actually get your credit report for free once a year from each of the 3 major credit bureaus. You've got Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion.
And it's a good idea to check all 3, right?
Yeah, definitely. Because sometimes there can be discrepancies between them. It's like doing a routine checkup on your financial health.
Make sure everything's running smoothly.
Right. And, sometimes you might find errors, things that are dragging your score down that shouldn't be there.
Like a glitch in the system.
Exactly. So it's worth checking.
So we've covered a lot in these first 2 parts of our deep dive. We talked about the mechanics of debt, how to create a plan to pay it off, how to negotiate with those credit card companies.
Yeah, and we talked about the importance of having a solid foundation, that emergency fund, and really understanding how credit cards work, how to use them to our advantage.
But there's still more to come. In the next part, we're going to be talking about some additional resources and leaving you with a challenge that could really change your financial game. So stay tuned.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We're in the home stretch now, the final part of our journey to conquer credit card debt and build a brighter financial future. We've learned a lot, haven't we? From understanding that whole psychology of debt to those advanced tactics, negotiation, and balance transfers.
Absolutely. We've explored building that solid foundation with an emergency fund and how to really change our perspective on credit cards, seeing them as tools for building good credit and, earning those rewards instead of sources of stress. It's been quite the journey, right? But before we wrap things up, we want to make sure you've got all the tools you need to succeed. So let's talk about some additional resources and a final challenge to help you solidify everything we've learned and get you taking action.
Okay, great idea. There are some amazing resources online that can give you personalized guidance and support. Like, have you heard of the National Foundation for Credit Counseling? The NFCC?
I have heard of them.
Yeah. They offer free or low-cost counseling to help you come up with a plan, a debt management plan.
So it's like having a personal trainer, but for your finances.
Exactly. And there's also the Financial Counseling Association of America, the FCAA. They can help you navigate those, more complicated situations.
What if you're someone who likes to be more hands-on?
Well, there are tons of budgeting apps out there like Mint, Y&D, even Personal Capital. They can really help keep you on track and motivated.
Yeah, I love those apps. It's like having a little financial assistant right in your pocket, right?
Totally. They can help you see where your money's going, set those savings goals.
All right, so we've got our resources. We're feeling empowered. Now it's time for that final challenge we promised. What one small change, just one, can you implement today to start this journey toward credit card freedom?
One small change. Could be something as simple as setting up a tiny automatic payment towards your debt, like even $5 or $10. Or maybe cancel that one subscription you don't really use. Or even just spend 15 minutes researching different debt payoff methods.
That's a good one.
Yeah, finding the one that really speaks to you.
Right? It's because even the smallest step can make a big difference over time. Like if you slightly adjust your course on a map, you can end up at a completely different destination, right?
Totally. And remember, this is about progress, not perfection. You're going to have setbacks, you're going to have challenges, but just keep moving forward, one step at a time. Celebrate those little victories. Learn from your mistakes and keep your eyes on the prize, that future where you're in control of your finances and, living life on your terms.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into conquering credit card debt. We hope this journey has been insightful, empowering, and maybe even a little bit fun.
Yeah, we had some fun, right? And we encourage you to keep exploring those resources we talked about. Reach out to financial professionals if you need to. But most importantly, take action. Start small, stay consistent. Don't underestimate the power of those small steps.
You are capable of amazing things. Financial freedom is within your reach. We believe in you. Until next time, keep diving deep, keep learning, and keep striving for a brighter financial future.